the other board members, I've never seen so many walkers and joggers on my street ever since this COVID thing came. And I've never met and talked with so many of my neighbors. I mean, I've grown very fond of all of them. I mean, we keep our social distancing, and it was pretty nice.
All right, Chris, when you're ready, we're ready.
Okay, let's open the meeting. Kenny, want to do the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
And if you don't need to talk in your cell phone, please silence everything but we're talking on.
Okay. First order of business, Mark Keegan will be a voting member for the commission tonight. Having said that, we can close the regular meeting. And Alex, if you can read the notice for the public hearing.
Sure, Chris, would you like to take a roll call first for the meeting?
Sure.
All right, Commissioner or Chairman Dennis,
Here.
Commissioner Martin,
Here.
Commissioner Chajinski,
Present.
Commissioner Hart,
Present.
Commissioner Judge,
Present.
Commissioner Sponskowski is absent, Commissioner Keegan,
Present.
Attorney Caponera,
Present.
Attorney Dakotas is also present, Engineer LaBerge.
Here.
All right, now I'll let our guests in. All right, would you like me to read the notice of public hearing now?
Please.
All right. Notice of public hearing in accordance with Executive Order 202.1. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Planning Commission of the Village of Colony with respect to the following matter at the time and place set forth below. Tuesday, May 19th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. And this is via Zoom teleconference and YouTube live stream. The applicant is Goldstein Realty Holdings, LLC, 1653 and 1671 Central Avenue, Albany, New York, 12205. Application is to subdivide the existing 1653 Central Avenue site into two separate parcels, which would be 1653 and 1671 Central Avenue. Due to the current COVID-19 pandemic and Governor Cuomo's executive order 202.1, the public is not able to participate in person during the hearing. All application materials are available for review on the Village of Colony website. If you would like to make comment on this application, all comments must be submitted via email to ahart@colonyvillage.org or by phone 518-598-7650 by 6 p.m. Tuesday, May 19th, 2020. Submitted Alexandra Hart, Planning Coordinator, dated May 8th, 2020.
Alex, Danny Judge, may I ask how many participants we're dealing with? Can you tell us that, please?
There's probably 5 or 6 from the Goldstein application.
Thank you.
You're all muted, by the way, so if you need help unmuting, just wave.
I'm not muted. Yeah, I am.
The applicant here, Alex?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
My name is Bill Mafrici with Hirschberg and Hirschberg. With us is Anthony Maney, the attorney for the applicant, Alan Goldstein, and also Tyler with SRA. and my boss, Dan Hirschberg. We're here to request approval of a 2-lot subdivision.
Okay.
If I can take hold of the screen, I made a display that's a little bit more graphic than the actual subdivision plan. Just to give you an overall of what it actually looks like. So I'll just share my screen and let me know if you can see it.
Looks good, Bill.
Okay, so what I have up is a aerial photo underlaying the actual subdivision plan. The red line is the proposed lot that will encompass and house the Goldstein GM Buick majority of the building, the new collision center that was built a couple years ago, and another service building. That's outlined in red. That's a 10.27 acre parcel. The purpose of the subdivision is to propose a 2.63 acre parcel, which is a former school and community center. Proposed to demo that and put a 3-story climate control storage facility. So that being said, we need to provide adequate space for parking, green space, and setbacks. And that led us to this 2.63 acre parcel. With that, I'd open it up to the commission if they have any further questions.
Okay, I'll go down through the commission, I guess. They have any questions on the proposal? Let's do this in a little bit different order. Mark Keegan?
You're muted, Mark. You're all set. Go ahead.
Okay, I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Dan Judge?
No questions at this time.
Kenny Hart?
I do not have any questions at this time.
Peter?
I do not have any.
John Martin?
I still have a request for a architectural rendition of the building and the surrounding areas, showing the relative locations and pictures from where the neighborhood would see the building size as part of this subdivision presentation. Other than that, I have no questions.
Okay. Bill, is there any possibility, Bill, that you can zoom up on where the storage facility will be on that screen?
Okay, so this is a realistic rendering that SRA did.
Yep.
This is the 3-story storage building. It's going west on Central Avenue. Kim's is obviously just east of that. Our storage facility main entrance is here. This is the corner, marquee sort of look.
Mhm.
And the adjacent building, which was an insurance building, is to the west of that.
Right. What
Bill,
I
I
was
got a
asking, Bill,
Are
what
you
I was
showing
asking is
something?
whether or not you could enlarge that section of the site plan, zoom into that part of the site.
The site plan, okay, yeah.
This drawing is showing the existing building and the new proposed building, so that's what I was looking for.
There
Yeah.
we go.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So you can see the neighbors. Okay, fine.
Yeah, so we're closer to Central Avenue and slightly closer to the west. But yeah, there's my screen catching up to it. But here's the adjacent building to the west, the insurance building, and Kim's Retail Center is right here.
Okay. I'll open it up. I know I did a roll call already. Anybody else have additional questions from the board? RJ, Victor?
Public hearing.
Victor, you were muted.
Do you have me?
You're on mute. You're unmuted now.
Okay, thank you. No, Mr. Chairman, I don't have any legal questions about the proposal tonight relative to the subdivision.
Yeah. Engineer LaBerge?
No questions.
Okay. All right. At this time then, Alex, could you read any correspondence that you have received on this project?
Yes, the first one is from Noreen Cairns. She lives at 2 Southwest Way. She says, my name is Noreen Cairns and I live at 2 Southwest Way, which borders the Goldstein property. After reviewing the meeting minutes, I'm aware that Goldstein is proposing to build a 110,000 square foot storage facility on the property. I am unable to discern where in location to my property the storage facility will be built. Is the building to be closer to Central Avenue? I already have the body shop very close to my property line. I do not wish to have a storage building near my property line. It is very difficult to discern site drawings over the computer. Thank you for presenting my concerns and I look forward to a response.
And where does this person live?
She lives at 2 Southwest Way, which is if you go down, yep.
Right there,
it's
okay.
right, yep,
Dean?
in a little cul-de-sac.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to keep going, Chris?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, this is from Catherine Walker and Lynn Lyons and family at 4 Locust Park. Dear Planning Commission, we understand the Village of Colony Village Hall is not open to the public on today's date, May 19th, 2020, and further understand the Village Hall has made a decision to be resuming public meetings, etc. on June 3rd, 2020, or could change that date to a closer date and time as New York State rules change and state is not currently allowing the Capital District region to reopen. We object at this time to a public hearing, not waiting just a very short time in order that the neighborhood and our family may be able to attend a meeting in person to ask questions and have answers that may require interaction with visuals, explanation of building terms, zoning laws, or planning terms, map reading, in addition to the natural ebb and flow of conversation in person. With regard to the questions and answers that does trigger more questions to be answered. It is not possible to ask and understand everything that is being presented in this distant format of not being there in person to be able to ask and address what is being stated, as it is being stated in regard to building terms, planning terms, zoning terms, map terms and script, laws and rules without being there in person. I ask at this time because of the hardship of not being there to have a full scope of the subdivision and project submitted by Goldstein Realty Holdings Incorporated, that the meeting may be moved to a date in the near future when we can attend in person with our neighbors to ensure the neighborhood is treated fairly in regard to understanding the full scope of the subdivision and entire project set forth for the Goldstein property. And I have another letter by the same family, Catherine Walker and family at 4 Locust Park. Dear Planning Commission, I object to the subdivision as the improvements are not clear to us at this time when we are not allowed to attend the planning meeting in person to ask further questions about maps, zoning, building, planning rules, etc. to know the entire plan with this subdivision and the future of this property. As the subdivision means going forward with a 3-story building that abuts our residents and our property, house, garage, backyard we enjoy, and a pool. Subdivisioning leading to blocking out sun, sunsets, stars, with proposal of closeness to our residents, devaluating our property values, creating pollution, noise, privacy issues, and other hardships to us. Sincerely, Kay Walker, Catherine Lyons, and family at 4 Locust Park.
Okay,
That's all the correspondence I received.
okay. Victor?
Yes.
Well, again, I guess I'll open it up to the board members if you, the commission members, if you want to speak. I believe that we would be in a position that I would think that we could proceed on the subdivision with the knowledge that everyone will be allowed to come to the site plans for both of these projects, correct?
I would hope so. I mean, let's hope that at the next few meetings, we'll have, our area opened up so that people could attend. I never saw on this map where the last 2 letters were coming from. Can we point that out?
Right there.
Yep, they are the property that's next
It's
to the
number 4.
Brazilian meat
Okay,
restaurant.
I got it. Yep. So they're directly adjacent to this property and obviously have standing to inquire as to this proposal.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think, Chris, that you need to poll the board and see how they feel about wanting to move forward on the subdivision. I mean, this is a public hearing. Normally in a public hearing, the public has a right to be heard. Unfortunately, due to our constraints and the governor's guidelines, all the public can do at this point is write the letters as they did, but they can't be heard. So I'd like to hear how the board feels about wanting to move forward on this. Obviously it's a public hearing. We can close the public hearing, or you can keep the public hearing open and give the public an opportunity to speak in another time. So I think we should hear what the other board members have to say.
Okay, just for clarification on that, Victor, if we were to leave the public hearing open, we have a time frame that we need to act on this?
Yep, there are 62 days.
Yeah.
And by the way, the law does provide that time frame can be extended on either the consent of both the applicant and the planning board, or at the request of the applicant. So that, that is a legal, well, that's what can be done from a legal standpoint.
And about seeing that this is a little bit different, how would you suggest responding to the 2 parties that had mentioned letters to the village? I'm going to poll everybody here to see, should we respond to them prior to our vote, or should we vote? I guess that's what I'll be asking. Victor, you have any more that you would like to say?
I think that's the appropriate thing to do at this point,
Mm.
is poll the board, see how they feel about moving forward.
Okay. All right. Alex, I will let you call the names instead of me trying to go between you.
All right. Commissioner Hart.
I would, my opinion is to leave the public hearing open. I think with the existing hardship that we should provide the neighbors an opportunity to ask questions and make statements as it is going to be a larger than any other building, I think, in the village other than Wolf Road. So my opinion is leave the public hearing open for that reason.
Commissioner Judge?
I'd like to have it open, keep the meeting open. We can't have it both ways, right? I mean, you keep the meeting open, we can't move forward. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that my understanding, Victor?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to not leave it open indefinitely. I don't know how to work around this. I mean, we have no idea when we're going to be able to provide an open forum for people. All right. So, I mean, can we keep it? Can we keep the meeting open for a certain duration, like to see what happens till our next meeting, or do we have to wait a full time length?
Dan, as I said before, the laws provides that when you keep a public hearing open, you have to, you're given 62 days. The board is given 62 days within which to have another meeting or close the public hearing, or the applicant and the commission can agree to extend it due to extenuating circumstances, or an applicant can request extension. I've done that on multitude of times in private cases I've had. So that's the scenario. I knew this was going to come up when the governor issued his guidelines, because I knew with the guidelines that the public were not going to be able to speak at the hearings other than write these letters. And so none of this surprises me from my perspective, but keep polling the board, Alex.
Victor, let me interject first, Alex. Victor, if this is left open, does there have to be a presentation done again for this, or can the board act upon its review?
There doesn't have to be another presentation.
Yep.
But by keeping the public hearing open, that means a record is open. That means at another meeting, others would be able to speak either in favor or against the project or the proposed subdivision.
Okay, Alex, you want
Yeah, I'll vote to at least, let me ask you this again. If we have our next planning meeting and we decide to close the meeting, we can just do that? Like at our next planning meeting, can we just wait a time? Because I'm hoping maybe we get more clarification of when we're going to be able to have public meetings. Could we come to our next planning meeting and just say, we're canceling the meeting? Is that our possibility?
I don't know what you mean when you say canceling the meeting. Are you saying
No.
closing the public hearing?
Correct. Can we come to our next meeting and close
Yeah.
the public hearing?
The answer is yes. It's the board's prerogative to make a decision on this, and you have up to this 62 days within which to close the meeting and make a decision.
Okay. All right. My vote right now, I mean, not vote, but I would right now like to wait and get more guidance from our government. So I'd like to, I don't want to move forward now. I'd like to.
You want to keep the hearing open. That's what you're saying.
Correct. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying right now.
All
Yep.
right.
Commissioner Martin?
I'd like to leave the meeting open, and I'd still request that the architectural rendition that I had asked for previously. I think
Hey.
that'll go a long way to helping the residents envision what is going to be happening in and around their neighborhood.
So John, Victor, just to be clear, because I think there was some misunderstanding about what the applicant was supposed to submit. I think you ought to make it very clear what exactly you're looking for. I think what you said a few minutes ago is that you would like to see an elevational rendering, let's say from Locust, looking from Locust towards the property that's proposed to be subdivided, on which this building is, three-story building is going to be built, with some kind of an inlay in terms of what that building's height is going to look like from Locust. Am I reading that right from you?
That is pretty close, Victor. Yes, I had sent out an email to the commission saying that I would think we would do something like we do with the telecommunication towers and like we had done with the building renditions from the Volvo building that we recently had in front of us. So I think you've depicted correctly what I am requesting of the applicant to provide us. And I think in our last meeting, when we had our meeting minutes, Chairman Dennis had suggested also that that would help with the neighbors in the public hearing to understand what the building will look like in the general vicinity of this property.
Now, not only did you want that, but I think you wanted an elevation look going east on Central and going west on Central, with a depiction of the interlay of the building, showing what it's going to look like with the other buildings on Central. Is that correct?
That is correct, Victor. Thank you.
All right.
Bill, can you show the rendering, please?
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it up, the one from the west. I had it up before. I don't know why it's not. There we go. So this is a realistic rendering that
We don't have,
I still don't see it, Bill.
you don't,
Nope.
you're not seeing it.
Glad to see young people there with young kids. Okay.
Okay,
Not me.
can everybody see this rendering?
Yeah, I've never seen this before.
Right, this was just prepared for this meeting at the request of the commission from last meeting. And again, this is a realistic view driving west down Central Avenue to give you a perspective of Kim's retail store here, our new facility in the middle, and then the adjacent insurance company.
Okay.
So am I to understand that we need to provide 2 additional renderings, realistic renderings, one coming east and one through the rear of the properties on Locust?
That's
Well, this one's
correct.
coming east, right?
This is going east, yes,
Right. How about going west
going west.
from the direction of Locust?
That's the 2 additional renderings that you'd like to see.
That's what John's
Yes, thank
talking
you.
about.
it's just, I'm sorry, I'd just like to clarify that, if I may, Chris. I thought that we wanted one from Central Avenue, as you travel east, which is what we're looking at, and one from Central Avenue traveling west, right? So it would just be one additional rendering?
No, there's one from Locust Park so that the people with the houses will be able to see the size of the building with respect to their backyards.
Oh, okay.
Similar to what we do with telecommunication towers.
All right, Alex.
All right, Alex, you want to continue?
Next up is Mr. Keegan.
Hi, just a point of clarification. I may be overthinking this, but my understanding before was that this public hearing has to do with the subdivision, not necessarily with the building. Am I missing something here, or?
That is correct.
That is correct. This is a public hearing for the subdivision of the property, not specifically dealing with the planning commission's conceptual or review of the proposed building.
And the letters that were submitted have to do with the building, not necessarily with the subdivision. Now, I certainly think that my fellow residents need an opportunity to be heard, but their concern has to do with the building, not necessarily with the subdivision. So I don't know whether we need to continue the public hearing because their concern is not with the subdivision.
May I interject something here? If we decide we don't like the location of the building and it has to be relocated, then the subdivision would have to change. That's the key with the building.
It doesn't have anything to do with the subdivision.
Regardless, we'll still have a 2-lot subdivision. That's going
That's
to
correct.
conform to the village standards.
Go
But
ahead.
this may not be this subdivision.
I understand what John's saying. I mean, he makes sense in this, but why don't you keep going, Alex, and pull the board?
Well, again, Mark, you're suggesting that to close and vote on the project, is that?
I think because the public hearing has to do with the subdivision and the concerns have to do with the building, that I would suggest that we close the public hearing.
And Victor, does that closing it to, is it, we would have to bring that to a vote?
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, Mr. Jazinski?
I also am, Mark stole my thunder, which is a good thing, because I agree that this is to do with the subdivision. If anything else changes, we would be looking at something different for the site plan. And I look to close the subdivision meeting and vote on it, as well as understanding that just one question, there is no variances. There's nothing that's outside of what's in the current code for this building in this location, correct?
That's correct.
And from the board, anybody else heard or seen anything that's in contradiction to the village code? Okay, I take that as a no. So that's
I
my,
have not. Can I interject again?
Yes, go.
So the subdivision, no matter the size of the building that goes on the subdivision, this public hearing is for splitting the property into 2 parcels, correct? No matter what is on the new parcel, we are voting on the subdivision only. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, then I would like to change mine. I think we should close the public hearing on the subdivision.
This is Dan Judge. In light of what we just discussed, I'm going along with Kenny. I'd like to reverse my decision.
Chris, you're the last one to pull.
Okay, I guess I probably would have left it open, but I think we have a majority. We have 4. We have a majority in favor of closing. Victor, do we now vote on approval?
You can, as you know, you have to have the public hearing, then you have to close the public hearing.
Yep.
If you so choose.
Yep.
And then you can vote on the application for the subdivision. That's the way it goes.
Chime in, please. The board has not yet done a secret determination on this project. So you would have to do a secret determination, and the documents submitted for that have to do with the entire project. So I think that even if you close the hearing, you may want to wait on your final decision, because basically environmental determination is going to be the 2 site plans and the subdivision. Unless there's Victor, unless you see another way to do that.
No, if we're dealing with 2 separate things here. So I agree with Ron.
All right, so we have a majority. We're going to close the hearing. But you're suggesting our vote is not going to be held until we have all the site plans?
We have to have a secret determination on the subdivision. I think that's, well, I know that's what Ron was talking about, and it's got to be bifurcated from the subdivision and the site plan with the building.
Well, or what I was suggesting, Victor, was that it can be an all-encompassing secret determination, but I don't think the board's ready to do that based on the comments I'm hearing about the site plan concerns and the building concern.
Correct. Yeah, you can do it that way, or you could separate it out, but I think Ron's right. So we can certainly close the hearing on this and not vote, and move forward on it, and hopefully, have the applicant come back in at a time when they can make a presentation and there's people in the room that can talk.
All right. So they're suggesting that we could close the hearing, but receive additional information on a seeker for the subdivision and the two sites.
I'm not really suggesting that people can submit whatever they would like or make whatever comments they would like on the site plan that you could
Right.
consider as part of your secret determination if something significant comes up. That would just be the normal site plan review process at that point, Chris.
Right.
And Chris, I can put up the applications are up on the website for public inspection, and seeing that most comments are regarding the building itself and the site plans, I can put up those applications and plans as well, and then they can continue to comment by emailing me, and then we can read them aloud at the next meeting.
Okay.
Would these elevations be included too? What's your post?
Yeah, so Bill, if you could email that to me and then email me the rendering for the other side coming from Locust Park, then that can go on the website for inspection as well.
Yeah.
Alex, I believe you already have the elevations of all four sides of the building.
If
That
that was
should have been part of the original application.
okay, this was in the original application.
This
Right.
rendering was not, but all elevations were. So
We're talking about renderings, not just the elevations, renderings. Just like you've done here, you need to do a rendering from Locust, looking from Locust west, showing what the building's going to look like, just like you've done here. Color it up just like this too.
okay.
Can I ask a question about that rendering from Locust? Because the relevance of that from Locust is really interested in what it's like from Locust, or what it's like from people's backyards.
I didn't hear.
Get closer to the microphone. I can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Are we interested, this is in regard to the rendering from Locust. Are we interested in actually from Locust or from what it would look like in somebody's backyard?
Not to speak for you, John, but I'm assuming when you talk about the telecommunication and so forth, you're kind of wondering what the height will look like from Locust or the backyards of the neighbors. Would that be correct?
That's correct.
That's two different renderings.
They shouldn't be that much different because the lots aren't that deep at Locust. So if you took it from the street and there's not going to be any trees, you're going to see the building from the house perspective.
From a backyard, you're only going to see one side of the building.
Right.
Well, some of the houses will see the corner of the building. We'll see both sides, the rear and the side on the east.
Some of the houses will, yes.
I mean, one actual drawing going west. I think the comment being made is it really possibly could be one additional drawing, because we got a one-story retail next to it and then a residence in back of it. That I'm just saying, I think that might suffice, John, this to get both of those images, but again, I'll leave that open for comment.
I think one going west from, say, Locust, where that new restaurant is that what you're talking about, John?
Just a little up from that, take it so the people that are sending the letters, like for Locust, if you were to stand in their, driveway, what are they going to see when this building is completed? And I think that's what, we need to show the people that, hey, we made a step to show what this is going to look like when we evaluated the site plan and the subdivision. Because without that, they're going to wake up one morning and look out their back window in the wintertime when the trees aren't there or something like that, or when the trees are low, and they're going to see this huge building encroaching upon them. And then they're all going to complain when it's too late to do anything about it. So you give them a picture of what they're going to get, and they know what to expect.
Bill, since you're sharing your screen right now and that we can be extremely clear about this, can you open up Google Maps and go to Google Street View so that we can perfectly place ourselves on the site with the exact view that the board would be looking for?
I think that's a hard thing, because when you consider that it's very specific to very few properties, I'm just looking at the image, Bill, that you put up for the subdivision. I mean, it looks like there's very few trees in the backyards of all those. So from their backyard, they're going to be looking at the side of the building. I think that was mentioned. The view from the front, from the street, depends on your perspective. If you're going from eye height standing, it won't look as bad, quite frankly, because you got the house in the way, you got some trees in the way. Obviously, that softens the impact. So if the real concern is what the backyards look like, it will almost just be the building elevation.
It's very close to, it's not gonna look very much different than the elevation.
Yeah. I think what Chris was saying is, as you look at it if you go from Locust Park down Central towards the west, that'll still give you a very good idea of the order of magnitude.
So what about the same rendering, about the same distance, say in front of Kim's, going west as this is in front of that other, whatever Finkel's building there, going east?
So this is Google image of 406 Locust from the street view.
You have to let the screen catch up, Bill.
Oh, sorry.
You're always way ahead of us.
That's not a good thing. So, we could
Bill,
certainly
it's still
take-
not showing.
It's not.
Nope.
Hold on. New share. Let's try this one. Okay.
There you go.
Getting there somewhere.
Are we okay? Can we?
Is that 4 Locust right there?
Yes, this
That's
house
Walker.
is.
Oh, yeah,
is
yeah,
four.
okay.
Okay.
They're evergreens.
So there are some significant trees. They look like coniferous trees, but we just want to make sure that we give the commission what they're looking for, because there is significant costs associated with those pretty pictures. Obviously, we can't access the backyards of these neighbors without permission, and I'm not quite sure.
That view right there that you have, Bill,
Yes.
if you put your building into that view, I think it'll give the neighbors a reasonable perspective of what they're going to see.
You're gonna see trees.
Okay, so, well, in the background, you'll see the building. So Matt, is that cleared between 2 and 6 or 4 and 6 Locust? We'll superimpose the building. And then
Yeah,
that,
it'll be, mostly trees, but you'll see a faint building line from this view in the background.
John, I believe that's what you're looking for, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that
okay,
view
so
right there.
Is it necessary for us to provide one going west along Central Avenue?
John, you have an opinion on going west? In the retail?
No, I think, yeah, I think it's gonna show about the same thing as they're gonna see the house. If you take away the trees, I just think it's gonna be, yeah, I think they can get away without having the going west one, even though I think it's going to. I think it's go overwhelm Kim's.
Yeah. Again, one-story building, yes, so.
And it's not going to be far from it either.
Yeah.
And the
Oh,
current
so
plan
maybe
has no trees or anything in that area.
That second row of parking that's where it's gonna start.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, could you, making you jump back and forth all over here, can you actually show us, thank you, that rendering right there. I'm having a little perception problem here looking at this drawing. And RJ, you can probably jump in on this if you know. How tall are telephone poles?
Oh,
30 feet,
really? What are they, Kenny?
30?
I'm gonna go with what Kenny says, because he is a Verizon guy.
Yep.
But
And
the
how
bottom-
tall is this
Wire's
building?
gotta be at least 18 feet off the ground.
Right. And how tall would the building be in this project?
The building
Yeah.
is 32 feet.
So I'm having a real perspective problem here, obviously.
It is. It's the perspective. I mean, you're at the street, you're much closer to the pole, the building's
Yep.
set back a little bit farther. It's all,
Yep.
I mean, you're right. It is perspective, and it's
Yeah.
the way that you perceive the building from this particular spot.
Yeah.
Is this spot is this view basically 3.5 feet above ground, like you're driving in a car?
Correct.
Chris, I just Googled, telephone pole is 40 feet standard, but it's still, 40 feet standard.
Yep.
But it is a perception thing.
Yeah. So it makes it look like it's 20 foot tall in this drawing, but okay. All right. I still believe that we're in the position that we'll be looking at closing the hearing. I think the applicant, whether it's the one or the two drawings, like if the applicant takes a look at what they show us with Locust, I think you can look at the project yourself and see what we're actually looking for and seeing if you feel that's going to sell the project at this point. So you know what the requests are. I believe we're looking at closing it, and Victor, we can vote at a later meeting. And my question is, we need to get the seeker in place, and we can have discussions. The board can have a discussion later in this meeting, even if we close the hearing.
I'll answer for that because I stayed at Holiday Inn Express last night. After all,
You're muted, Victor.
you can still you can discuss the project, certainly.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said yes.
Yes, okay. Because again, we're closing it. We've asked for some information. We're looking for the seeker. But I don't want to just leave it not being talked about and reviewed. So I'm suggesting to the commission that we close the hearing. We have a majority on closing. And I would like to have more discussion this meeting after the hearing is closed.
Do we need to second that or no?
Yeah, you need to vote on closing the hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing as discussed.
I'll second it, Dan Judge.
Okay. Alex, you want to take the roll?
All right, Chairman Dennis,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
No,
you want to leave the hearing open?
that's correct.
Commissioner Shedinsky,
Vote to close, so yes.
Commissioner Hart,
Yes.
Commissioner Judge,
Yes,
Commissioner Keegan.
Yes.
Okay. At that point, Victor, I can close the hearing, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank everyone for the presentation. And
Chris, before you
yep.
finish,
Yep.
would it be all right with the applicant if we did a site visit?
Yeah, I don't see any reason.
Okay.
If you could just let us know when you're going to be there, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. We closed the public hearing and I'd like to reopen our regular scheduled agenda meeting. Okay, Alex, where do we stand with the second applicant?
All right, our second applicant is 16A Wolf Road, which is the old IHOP building. And I believe we have Attorney Steves to present.
Yes, thank you, Alex, and good evening, members of the commission. My name is Bruce Steves from the Jones Steves Law Firm, here on behalf of Chinenga Restaurant Properties, LLC. And with me is Mike Vaselli, Director of Architecture and Design for the applicant, and also Chris Gray, who's the Regional Director for the applicant. We're here seeking a change of ownership approval for the property located at 16A Wolf Road, which is improved by an IHOP restaurant. Our understanding, based on a review of the records in the building department, is that an IHOP has been located at this site since 1970. The current tenant and operator of the IHOP is Chinenga IH LLC, which holds a majority interest in the applicant Chinenga Restaurant Properties. Chinenga IH has been operating this IHOP for roughly 2 years, since early in 2018. They operate 38 IHOP locations, 8 of which are in the state of New York. We're here tonight only seeking change of ownership approval, as there are no proposed modifications to the site or the operations of the restaurant. All else being equal and subject to the commission's approval, obviously, we would seek to take title on this property within the next month or two.
Okay.
Appreciate your consideration.
Yep, this is Chairman Dennis. Are you looking at running the operation, continue with the operation that's existing?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, open up. Does any board members have any questions?
I do not.
Dan Judge, I do not.
Peter, I do not.
I do not.
I do not either.
Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion for you. Chris. I'd like to make a motion, do a change of ownership for Chaninga IH LLC at 16, I believe it was 16A Wolf Road.
Mhm.
I'll second.
Alex, do a roll for us?
Chairman Dennis,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Chadinsky,
Yes.
Commissioner Hart,
Yes.
Commissioner Judge,
Yes.
Commissioner Keegan.
Yes.
All in favor?
Okay.
Thank
Approved.
you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Have a good
waiting.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
You too.
Okay, back to just commission members and consultants, is that true?
No.
Now there is.
There's still, it appears there's
Anthony Meany
still
still,
someone.
not
It's
anymore.
gone now.
Well, they're welcome to listen, aren't they?
Yeah, they
True.
can listen. It's a public hearing, so.
Yep. Public hearing just wasn't trying to waste anybody's time. That was all it was for. I've got a few things that I want to get down through, and then I do want to get back to some discussion on Goldstein. A few things on here. RJ, you had sent me an email at Smith's Liquor.
Oh, yes.
Has that been submitted to the chairman, the commission members, Alex, or not?
No, Chris, I just said that to
Okay.
you just to see if we wanted to push that concept or not.
All right. Because you want to do a little outline on that, RJ, as to what?
So, obviously Smith's Liquor, we met with them. We had originally provided him a kind of a marked up site plan for him to use as a guide in preparing a revised plan. He incorporated some of it. Main differences were that he was using planters in the front yard instead of, and on the corner, instead of actually making green space out to the sidewalk. I think we asked him to show where the sidewalk was on his other plan to begin with. So he needs some survey work. Basically, most of the improvement to the green space was behind the building.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was it mainly. Just making sure too that he had a correct number of handicap parking spaces.
Yeah.
Which is 2. So he has that correct.
Yeah.
Was just where they're located and how they interact with the sidewalks. So I just, upon his resubmission, I sent another sketch up to Chris, which I can share with everybody, obviously. Don't ask me to do it right now.
Yeah. Just to ask you a question on it, RJ, there's some shaded areas in color. Is that your suggestion on that drawing?
That's my suggestion. All the color is mine.
Okay, just clarify that for when you send it to the commission members.
Okay.
Because it's the planters they're suggesting, the 2 planters.
Right. And no, like leaving the one side, the right, if you're looking at the avenue, the right side, just leaving that all asphalt along the side of the building.
Okay.
So it wasn't,
And how about the 3 parking spots along the left side of the building? Were those?
they were removed.
Okay. All right. If you could.
Alex, what's the address for that, Alex? Remember?
17. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's as far as I got to. Okay.
It's like 17. It's in the early 17s.
I can ask Mr. Patel, he's walking down the street right now as I'm looking.
1701 Central Avenue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank Google.
That was my guess.
Good guesser. Question on that too. They have been changing the facade on that building. Has anybody else noticed that or just me?
I haven't driven past it.
Not I either.
Okay, because they are replacing the mullions and the glass along the whole building in the front. I'm thinking that that's a facade change, but
You know, if this pops up on your screen.
yep.
Yes.
There.
Yeah, nothing to do with the site plan. It's just the facade.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is the site plan that was submitted, the coloring, the ugly green, I put all that on there. So he basically proposed everything we asked for in the rear, except for some of the green space behind the building here. We had asked for this to be a wider green space, and he was proposing just this little planar area. Same thing on this side, just a little planar area. You know, the sidewalk, you know, sits out here someplace. It's kind of deceptive, the drawing of where the road really is, the sidewalk. So I was just suggesting they locate the sidewalk, make sure the parking spaces are the right size. And they tell us what size the color, what color the fence would be.
Okay. Yeah. My point was we always look for, and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
But
Peter, I
what
want to come back to yours. I'm not,
Okay.
I don't want to leave
Finish your
that
part.
out.
Okay, I don't want to leave it out
But,
either.
yep, so the board members, where does this stand, RJ? First of all, is this a proposal you received from them?
Yeah, he emailed it to, I'm not sure who emailed it to. It was me and Alex, I think. Did you receive it as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so this would technically be for a planning commission review for a site plan
Okay.
submittal. And obviously it's an informal submittal, but he wasn't sure what to do with the village clothes like me.
Yep. All right, so just on looking at this site plan, we have comments. I guess you got to raise your hand for Alex. See if there's comments.
I can go down the line.
Okay.
Pete, do you have any comments?
My comments were, I thought he said this was going to cost him more than it was worth, and he wasn't going to go forward with it, is the last thing I heard. But, you know, he may change his mind, but that's my other comments. And these aren't stamped drawings either, too, so I'm sure that he'll have to go through all that. So
Right.
I think it'd be a little bit more of understanding how this is all going to look than what's just depicted here. So. And that gate in the back in the green area that's all closed off, I mean, doesn't matter to anybody because it's sitting there and it could be dirt in 2 weeks. But
Right.
that's my two pennies.
John?
I'm a little confused. The light green or olive, that's yours, RJ?
Yes, this color here, John, is mine, and then the lighter. green-
Okay, and then the other lighter stuff is what he has,
Correct.
but we have no trees and no landscaping and no flowers or nothing.
Well, we can tell we want something. I mean, he just shows these little bushes in here, John, but right, there's not any.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it and saying, you know, we still have a ways to go with this plan.
Is that it, John?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks. Sorry, Alex.
Okay. Dan?
Yeah, just with John, we're ways to go, and I just like a little more detail in the future. That's all.
Mark?
Same thing, you know, we got to go, and like I said, the last meeting, I lived on Killian Park for 20 plus years, and I never even, that parking lot was there.
Yeah, you can't.
Right. Kenny?
I haven't heard anything. I have nothing else other than what's already been said.
And I believe that's it, Chris.
All right.
Well, so let's get back to the facade that Peter
second.
brought up.
Let me have a comment first. All right.
Hold your horses, John.
Down, boy.
RJ, so the one planter that would be towards the east side, he's not recommending any paving or any green space around that whole edge, right?
No, this area here, anything outside this box here,
Yep,
I guess that's a sign,
yep,
would just say pavement.
yeah. I don't know, I think there's no injury to him other than some dollar bills, I guess, to make that all green for her.
He did mention something in his email about how there's a leak in the basement and he's got it all sealed up with the sealer on the blacktop. I didn't quite understand it.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's ways to fix leaks in the basement that, other than that.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I wouldn't have any problem if you put more in both corners and he really wants to leave that solid surface on that side, I guess, so. So I guess that would be my comments for it. So, okay, back to our discussion with Peters. Can you tell me, Peter, is he putting in the same size windows and mullions, or is there the structural change being made?
It looks very similar, but it is, changing the definite glass. So
Yeah.
I didn't pay a ton of attention to it. I just noticed it and I said, And I thought about it when RJ brought this up that, hey,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
maybe they're doing something
Yeah.
fine, but I didn't, like I said, didn't spend time.
Yeah.
Is he doing this now?
Yeah,
Was there a building permit issued?
I don't know.
We did.
There
give
was
him-
not.
We did give him an approval for him to change his commercial space, right? To reduce the size of his,
Yeah, I
Liquor?
remember that, but
The liquor store?
the liquor store and create a separate retail space.
I did see some of the work they were doing when I drove by, and it looked like it was specifically in front of the now vacant part of the store.
the right-hand side.
Yes.
Yep, I would agree with that. But I didn't know if that's all vacant. It's still, if I can share my screen, I got a picture on the street. I can,
And we acted on that, RJ?
We did, because this is now having to do with apartments.
Okay, all right.
so this side here, can everybody see my finger?
Yeah,
I
No,
don't
I
see your
don't
screen yet.
All I see is the site plan.
Okay. Catching up then.
Good.
I know. Mr. Keegan knows him well, her well.
She made a visit today.
Yeah. Oh, she took off on me. I was so ticked. Anything so far?
Oh,
And maybe if you stop sharing your screen, Vic or RJ.
Oh, yeah, RJ, you got to stop. I'm sorry.
I thought you could just kick me out. Well, I don't know.
No, I can't just. kick you out.
Multiple people can, but it might make it easier.
Yeah, stop your screen share.
How does one do that?
Up
Down
top.
at the bottom.
Oh,
I got it.
There you go.
He's at the top.
at the top for you. You're special.
There you go.
Okay. Now, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Image is there.
Yeah, image is there. It was this side here, so I didn't really pay attention to if it was vacant or not, or if he's doing anything, but
Great shot, Peter. We can figure out the landscaping a little bit here too, huh?
oh yeah. Here's some of your stuff.
Mhm.
Nice green space here.
Wow. You can't even get into those spaces we're asking to put green on
No.
the right.
No, you can't. Right.
You get this, there's not even no parking. Well,
It's a curb.
it's a
That's
curb.
why I suggested what we would do, right?
Yeah, I'm all for your suggestion, RJ. Just to get some more in those corners and see see where you, why don't you respond back that we're looking for more than what he's offering, because you can't
Yeah.
get into those spaces.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only places you can really do anything on the site.
Yep, yep. Is everybody okay with that, that we
Yes.
proceed that way?
Yes.
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 Okay.
There's a
So,
problem.
I have a question for Victor.
Yes.
So I have no problem getting back to the applicant, but I mean, if I were him, I'd want to say, well, I want to bring this before the commission. In which case we say, okay, we'll put you on the agenda.
Yep.
Okay,
For us to tell them what you're gonna tell them?
pardon me?
For us to tell them that what you're gonna tell them?
Well, what I'm saying is that, you know, and maybe he'll say, fine. On the other hand, he might say, hey, yeah, no, I agree with that. I want to talk to the commission. That's fine.
He has every right to do that. You
Yeah.
can just make a suggestion and just say, listen, don't tell him that the full commission discussed this, but just tell him you and the chairman talked about it and me or something, you
As long
know.
as he doesn't watch this meeting.
I trust we're no longer on YouTube, Alex.
No, we are.
Yeah,
The meeting
haven't
is
done the
still
meetings
happening,
yet.
so yes, we
Yeah.
are.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
We haven't done the minutes yet either.
Great.
what I'll do my standard. Did the commission look briefly at this the other night?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
Here's what they said.
Yep.
I mean, he has every right to come back in front.
All right.
Yeah, just double checking.
Very
Yep.
good. All right. Thanks, RJ.
Yep.
You want to go to the minutes? Or you want to talk about Goldstein?
I just have a procedural question real quickly, if I
Yep.
could.
Yep.
Why wouldn't the public be able to join on the Zoom like we have our applicants?
It's part of Governor Cuomo's executive order
Yeah,
that it takes the public out. The public no longer has the right to be present, but they have to still be able to review the materials and submit comments.
no, I agree.
So-
Why can't they be on the Zoom with us, just like the applicants are on the Zoom with us?
It's the way the executive order came out.
Fine.
So it's only the applicants are allowed, no public person can attend the meeting?
Right.
But,
They can attend the meeting, but
We
You
have
know,
to
they can
live
watch
stream
it.
it.
right.
Right,
We have
but-
to live stream it.
Could they just be another person? Because you can get up to 100 people on a Zoom. So
right.
why wouldn't they have the ability to get a Zoom up and then talk and then everybody listen and then?
So to Peter's point, for instance, I was at a public hearing in my room in the city of Plattsburgh, and they let anybody who wanted to come on to Zoom come on to Zoom, and the moderator obviously kept them, you know, in the peanut gallery, and it was a public hearing, and they, you know, you got the hand raising feature there. If anybody would like to speak, raise your hand, and that person was put up to make their point or whatever they wanted to say. And it was strictly a non-response type public hearing, which I love, where the person gets up, they say what they're going to say, and that's it. But that's a lot of work on the moderator's part to you know, keep that all in check. It's like Peter, he just leaves. But they can hear everything that's going on. They can hear the board deliberate. They can do all that stuff, and you know.
Well, they can hear it now on a live stream.
Yeah, but they could interact on a Zoom as not just another participant, just like we did with Goldstein.
Right, particularly for a public hearing.
Yeah,
Right. They still have the right to present comments and follow-up questions.
Correct.
absolutely. I'm not saying that. I'm just procedural question, why we wouldn't just say, here's the Zoom, attend, and if they don't have a PC or whatever, the village gives them a laptop or an iPad for the use of the time. They request it and they get on and they talk.
For the good of the neighbors.
Right. That's above my pay grade, but
You
just
good
so
with
I
your
ask them-
procedure there?
Yes.
Okay.
Frankly, I don't think it's a horrible suggestion that Chutter brings up. And I question that from the very inception when this guideline came out. And my suggestion at the time to some other folks I talked to is that if these folks wanted to talk, they could send something in and say, hey, I'm Vic Campanera and I'm a neighbor and I'd like to speak. Okay, so now Alex could say, hey, for those of you that want to attend the meeting, of course, this is on YouTube now, that's fine. But if you want to speak, give me your names. And then after we deliberate and have questions and the applicant does, frankly, I don't know why they wouldn't be able to say, hey, you know, I put my name in and I wanted to speak and yada, yada, yada. I think, and again, I'm just conjecturing this, that the governor's office probably thought that it would turn into you know, a cacophony of confusion because everyone's talking. But, you know, you can control the speakers, right, Alex?
I can mute
Mute,
and
yeah.
unmute to a certain degree. And part of it's not privacy, but protection against anyone just being able to
Right,
just happen to look on our website and see the meeting.
right,
Um,
right.
You can
I know there
whatever.
was some,
I mean, listen, you know, these rules are changing by the week and hopefully, you know, I presume that Goldstein is going to want to come back in quicker than later to move this along. So, you know, who knows? I mean, we may be dealing like this for a long time to come. And if that is the case, we probably should talk about whether or not we should allow the public to ask to speak at the hearings, you know? I don't know.
With regard to that, though, we never addressed whether or not we're going to respond to their letters in any shape or form, or are the meeting minutes going to be the response to their letters?
I believe they're watching live on YouTube. I can confirm with them in a follow-up email.
You're right.
Okay, so the assumption would be that if they were watching on YouTube, they would then send in further letters with additional questions?
Can I comment on that? And 'cause for a public hearing, it's not a question and answer concept. It's here's my comments on the project.
Correct.
It's not like, oh, I have questions for you. Sometimes we get into that, but this is really the real way it works. Stand up, say I'm opposed for this reason, I'm for it for that reason, and that's it. And you know, I don't think that we need to go out and respond to each person individually. Not that type of arrangement.
RJ, could you get a little closer? I'm having trouble hearing you.
I like it that way. There you go. Is that a little better for you?
Much better.
Okay. So as far as response to people, I think that they have the opportunity to watch it on YouTube, and they can do that. They can, but I wouldn't send emails or anything like that responding.
It's no different than a lot of the public hearings we've had where we let them speak. It's
Right.
not a question and answer. We had ShopRite. We let everybody speak. We didn't go back and banter and so forth. So I concur with what you're saying, RJ. So.
I agree.
All right. Can we proceed to the minutes? Alex, I'm assuming people, you edited these already with John and other comments that came back?
Yes, the final copy that you guys received has all of your comments on it. You should see several different colors.
Okay.
So unless anyone has any other
I have
comments or
I have
changes.
one question I'm going to ask in the way it's written. It's the third paragraph on Goldstein's. And it kind of states that Goldstein is taking cars from other dealerships. Is that anybody's understanding that he's taking them from somebody else's besides across the street of his own?
No, it's his other dealerships, not competitors' cars.
Yeah, I think it was just, they're just told they have to take more. I think
Yep.
that was more of what it was, that if I remember correctly.
Okay.
That's the way I understood it too.
So should we clarify that writing a little bit on that one, that his other dealership then, or?
The extra inventory from other Goldstein dealerships.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Now, the only thing they have there though is Subarus.
Yeah, they do. I checked, I went through without asking to go on there. I checked but yeah, that's what their cars are, so. Anybody else have anything else on minutes?
No.
No,
I do not.
Well,
Did you
Yeah.
notice the cars turned around by 9 o'clock the next morning?
yep, and off the sides too. They were gone off the side. Yep.
They're still there.
Oh, they put it back on the sides?
The place is packed.
Oh, okay. I saw them when they removed this. They were on the
Yeah.
sides.
No, the
It's
cars are all over the
100%,
lot.
it's 100% full as of the weekend, so, but
Got more cars.
anyway. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to,
Go ahead, John.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 5th as amended.
Second.
All in favor,
Yes.
Yes.
raise hands, whatever. Anybody opposed?
Judge, yes.
Okay. Okay. I guess it was on the weekend, as I stated, I did drive through and they are all Subarus on the site up there at Goldstein's. But I did try to kind of take a little look at the back of residents that were there. There's some that they have some almost cottage homes in the back of the other homes. And they are right on that property line. It's really tight, a lot of the things. Having done that, I wanted to throw something out where John and I have had issues with their landscaping plan. I don't know how we're going to proceed with it, but we've marked up a couple plans.
Pleasure, Kenny.
Things that we would like to see them. And I'm just going to throw a general comment out. They do everything is low profile. They got a 3-story building with low vegetation. It's like, well, come on, can you do a little more on landscaping? I'm kind of looking at that we should really be requesting a lot more on this landscaping plan. And I'm going to kind of ask, how do you think we should respond to them to get this? And RJ, you can kind of think about that. But I also, they're showing 39 trees, 6-foot trees down the side and back of the Locust Park people. One of the things that I'd like to recommend to them that we're going to ask for is, Victor, we're back to your biblical. I'd rather see a much less quantity of trees and much larger size to protect the neighbors on that side. When he put the plan up tonight, this new building, 3 stories and closer to the neighbors, I think we need some protection. And so that's going to be one of the things I'm going to propose on the site plan, the landscaping plan. So I'm not sure how we're proceeding with this, Vic, RJ, so forth, but John and I do have a lot of comments we would like them to take a look at on the site plan, but I'd like all the commission members to see those, so.
Well, have you marked up a plan?
Yeah, we're working on it, RJ. One of the things you notice is all the trees that they had listed, those 39 trees, oh, they call them 5 feet. Every research I've done says they're going to grow to be like 30 or 40 feet with a wide spread of 20 feet. So that means none of them would ever fit together. They'd be taking them all down. So Chris and I are going to look at different trees and different plantings and different sizes. And if anybody else has any suggestions, Chris and I thought we'd put together a little checklist of ideas and things, give it to you to send over to them, you know, from engineer to engineer, and say, these are some of the things we'd like you to get a landscape architect involved in to look at enhancing the site. Because ideally, and if you looked at the picture they put up, their rendering, there's nothing. The building is like bare. And ideally, with a building that size, if you're coming down Central Avenue, you'd like to have the landscaping be the feature instead of a huge building with nothing in front of it, you know, looking at you. I mean, that's if they're going to have the building that close to Central Avenue, let's have landscaping to at least detract from the size of it.
Yeah. Let's make sure though that the commission gets to look at our markup, so they can add to it before anything gets passed on.
I'm good with, I'm gonna take a shot at it, send you to you, Chris, then you can distribute it to the commission.
Well, then I would suggest that, why don't we just, you guys mark it up and we talk about it at the next meeting with the applicant.
I'd rather have us just do us, without the applicant, and then you can send them a letter with it. And I think it's better that way without getting into the back and forth.
Well, I think that two things. One is, if we're gonna send it to all the members of the commission, when they're gonna get it, when we're gonna get everybody's responses, and when are we gonna get it back to the applicant? Or just in 2 weeks, if you guys can explain everything to the commission, what you like, and then just tell the applicant, here it is. It's up to you. I'll do it either way, Chris. I'm just thinking that it might just be easier to just have the meeting, and yes, have it back and forth, because that's what the meetings are for.
Yeah. All right, well, let's figure this thing out, but let's get all our comments together.
Yeah.
And then we'll discuss this again as to which way to do it. What I was thinking, RJ, was that it would get out before the next meeting for them to look at. So,
Okay.
so I don't know. I don't have the answer for that one. So. All right.
Well, the next meeting is in 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think, is the next meeting 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
It's 2 weeks. It's June 2nd.
Okay.
RJ, I have no problem having that meeting with them, but do you think it's good to give them a heads up, though? What we're looking for.
The other option is, Chris, like, if you want to just have them come into the office and sit 6 feet away, we can look at a sheet of paper with them if you want to be there and talk about it with them.
I know that's what we always do, and it sure would be a lot easier to be able to do that, but all right. That is
I
the
think
best
that's
way.
yeah.
Just let me know how you'd like to do it. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
Yep. All right. Anybody else have more comments that they want to make on the Goldstein?
I may after I walk the site.
Yeah. Kenny, when I got there, it's a big building, and the
Oh, yeah.
site's not all that big, and but you really get a feel for where the neighbors are, and that's where this tree thing already started with me when I went through there and looked. So, and it doesn't go back very far. We're not back at too many houses. When you really look at it, I was looking at some of these cottage homes or whatever in the back of other homes, and this building is not in back of very many.
The building's only behind Kay's house.
Yeah.
And the one next to it. That's it.
No, it's the one next to it.
Yeah.
Is it Mike?
Chris, this is Danny Judge. Just for height, what you said before, I purchased poles before, installed them. Poles are 40 foot, like Peter said, and usually go 6 to 8 foot in the ground. So the top of the pole is 32 foot. I think they said the building was 32. So I think you're going to get a good idea how tall they are. Just use the top of the pole as a guideline.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Very deceiving drawing we saw. It was a nice drawing.
That's the beauty of perspectives.
That's it.
So what did I say? The pole is about 30 feet tall. I'm not
32.
talking about the ground.
There you go, bud.
Goddamn Google.
I've climbed enough of them when I was younger.
We don't want to know anymore.
No. When I was in the phone, when I was with the phone company.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I deferred to you, Kenny.
Victor, RJ, anything else?
No, I don't think so.
I'm sorry, Victor, go ahead.
No, I'm fine. I mean, we voted and that was it. Now they're going to come back, and I'm going to be anxious to see these elevations. I think it'd be important for other board members, though, take a walk back there and see.
Yep.
What are these cottages you're talking about, Chris? Are you telling me that people are living there?
Well, there's one that's got a house. I think it's that second one down.
Yeah.
Or the third house, but it's, they did a really nice job on what looked like a garage in the back that
Mhm.
has some people living in it.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
it's a nice looking place, but it's in back of the house. So, I mean, that's why I'm using.
I think that's why we might have had two letters from the same address from different people, because I think someone lives in the cottage and someone lives in the house in the front.
Yeah,
It was
so,
all the same
Possible.
people on each one.
and the
Well, the
tree that
one-
they're suggesting is what they planted when they did the wreck car place there, the collision thing.
Yep.
And those trees are struggling. So anyway, I just throw it out, and so when you're looking at the site, keep in mind what we're gonna put there. John and I are gonna have different suggestions, so.
I only had one thing, just so you're aware, on the seeker. I did prepare a draft of part 2 and a part 3 on this. It was included in with the review letter I sent. So if you have those files, you can just take a look at it. It's the draft, it's review and comment only.
All right, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I had that written down here. So the seeker that they have to submit, we should have that in hand before we
They
vote on
submitted it.
Well, you can't vote. You can't vote on the
Yep.
proposal until we, take a negative or positive declaration on seekers. So
Yep.
I think,
Yep.
Ron, I believe I saw something come across, but in light of what's going on with this COVID thing, would you mind? I mean, do all the board members have that draft that Ron was talking about?
Part 2
Is that
and
a
part 3.
one-page draft?
Yeah,
It's a one
just,
page?
there's 1 or 2 pages, right? Let me just pull up the.
It was copied front to back from RJ's letter.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part 2, part
Yeah.
3.
It was just the form.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's all it was.
I got it.
And this is for the entire,
Project.
all 3 projects together, which is really the way this one should be done.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you say all 3 projects, you're talking about the subdivision, right?
Correct.
The site plan
2 site plans, correct.
Yeah,
and
two sites.
the other site.
Right. 71, 53, and then the.
Right. Okay.
So Chris, they've submitted everything on that, so it's really for board review at this point.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And RJ, are you okay with all their SWIFT stuff, the water and the drainage and everything else?
We went through quite a number of iterations on that to work out, but yes, we are, John.
Okay, because that's the key to the seeker, right?
No. I mean, that's just one component.
It's one component, one
Yeah.
element.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex, do you have any submissions for next meeting?
I don't have any new applications. I was waiting to see what 1526 Central, the meat market.
Yep.
He was gonna come back. And then Mr. Patel was the other only pending one, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming we'll have Goldstein back.
Okay. Anything additional?
Has anybody looked at Otto Oldsmobile's front lot
No.
with the cars parked on the grass?
They're having to take more too, or the used ones?
Brand new one, the big huge Escalade that says parts are open or service is open. They're using it as a billboard, but it's parked right on the front grass.
Doing anything to keep open, yeah.
Mike, no.
No, I haven't seen it. I gotta go that way tonight, so I'll take a look.
Yeah.
Well, if he's in violation, Mike gotta let him know.
That's true. It's not us, Mike.
Yeah, it's not us, but Mike is fortunately his dad passed away, so he's
Oh,
Yeah.
That. When did that happen?
one the other day, Al, or
Friday,
I believe it was last Thursday.
Thursday.
How old was he?
He was pretty elderly.
Yeah, he cancer. It was known, but it's still unfortunate.
Yeah, it's too bad.
But I will, Mike will want to see the minutes from that meeting and then I'll pass it along to him for enforcement.
Definitely. Okay,
All right. Anybody, anything else?
Make
I
a
do
motion.
On a motion?
I'll make a motion to
Make a
adjourn.
motion.
Second.
Second.
Third, fourth.
Everybody's in favor? Just tell me if you're not.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Alex.